Okay, dimensioning. Dimensioning is a big part of of your drawing, really. I mean, without dimensions you can't build it. So there are some rules about how you dimension and all that sort of stuff. And by the way, we talked about text sizes before and all that sort of thing. They generally a lot of that stuff has come from the days where a lot of these rules have come up from the days where you would draw the thing by hand and also then you want to microfilm it, reduce it in size or whatever to store. Nowadays we got things in digital. We can print borderless, for example. The idea about the border thing it's becoming a little bit blurred and irrelevant nowadays. The fact that you can actually print something to PDF, a lot of these things, or some of these things, might not really make any sense anymore, and it'll take a little while for the standards to catch up. But it really depends. This is all assuming that you're doing things by hand on the board, not by CAD. All right. So some of them might sound a little bit silly, and why do I really have to do that? Why can't I write in lowercase? I mean, at the end of the day, this is on record on YouTube, but at the end of the day, if the reason was that that you have to write in capitals because it might not be legible, then in CAD it will be legible because it types it up very clearly, so you can read it like a book, like this book here. And in fact, if you photo reduce it, it most likely will still be legible anyway. So it depends on the reason behind why the standard was created. Okay. All right. So a couple basic things to look at here. This is important when you're setting up your dimension style. You have to make sure you allow like a gap in there, about a 1 millimeter gap. And as I'm doing this, perhaps I'll just flick over to AutoCAD and just, although it'll be in your book when you get to it, I'll just flick over to AutoCAD and just show you where that might be as well at the same time. Basically in AutoCAD you go to annotate and just click these little options, annotate and go to, dimensions, this section here, and click this little button here. That comes up. Oops, all right, yeah, that's fine. All right, so then what you do is modify. Well, depends what you're going to, it depends what the instructions were exactly and how you're going to do it. But basically, just to show you where things are, you might want to create a new one for a start, and you probably will. But I'll just modify this now and just show you what it will look like. All right, so we're looking at that little thing that, so it's the lines. We're going to go into lines. Now, origin, offset from origin is this one here. This is the one that it relates to. That little bit in there, that's the one that has to be 1 millimeter. All right. So that's what that is. That's this guy here. All right. All right. So can we do that? No, it doesn't work on this one. All right. So what else have we got? 2 millimeters past the dimension line. All right. Still in lines. And this is sometimes a bit of a hit and miss. You change one number, come back in. Oh, gee, that didn't change that bit. Change the other bit. So you might have to come back and past origin. So I might get one of these wrong. But anyway, extend beyond dim line. I think that might be this one. If I just click over here, see, it's made that a bit longer. So I can exaggerate it just so you can see what I'm changing. See, it's making that longer. So that's the one. So that has to be 2 millimeters, for example. All right. By default, it's close enough, but not good enough. All right. So that's that. All right. So this thing here, the text has to be 1 millimeter above. Well, maybe I'll just find that first. I can show you. I just know it. But arrowheads have to be 3 millimeters and 1 millimeter wide. Okay. Let's do that next, seeing that's just there. All right. So arrowheads. So we'll go to symbols and arrows. All right, this is on arrowheads, but you can have other things as well. But arrowheads is what we want. Now look how close that is. 2.5. It's supposed to be 3 long. So you've got to change that to 3. And now how do we make it so it's 1? Where's the option to do the 1, like this one here? Now that has to be, that's 3 from, there to there, but this height has to be 1. Well, the fact is you can't change it on CAD. But if you pick that arrowhead and make it 3 millimeters long, by the sheer fact that the angle of that arrowhead is what it is, mathematically works out to be 1 anyway. So, you can't change any of those options, but it works out anyhow, luckily. Oops, back here again. All right, so just looking for that text. What is projection? All right, projection lines are thin lines and may cross over where necessary. All right, so these are the lines that go up to the feature. I'll call it the feature, or up to the object. They might have to cross sometimes. AutoCAD has got a little, a good little sort of. It doesn't look like it's in the standard, but if I just OK that for now, come back out of that. It's got a little thing here called break, or dim break is the command. So it just sort of makes a little break for one of the lines. It makes a little gap so it doesn't actually cross over. But that's something that you might want to employ to make your drawing look a bit nicer when you're dimensioning. You've got a whole lot of stuff sort of crossing all over the place. Let's go back in, modify that, and let's go back to here and just analyze this a bit more. We've got figures should be minimum 2.5. Yes, text height is generally, well, it is 2.5 for notes, and dimensions are 2.5 for an A3 or an A4 or an A2, or anything less than an A1. Okay, so what the other thing is, often we're asked, well, where do we put the dimension? Here's my little thing I want to draw, and then I want to dimension it. So where do we start the first one? Well, you start it between 12 and 15 millimeters. This one here. So it can be minimum 12 from there to there, maximum 15. All right, and then they should all be the same after that. Again, AutoCAD has got a little thing called dim space, so you could start the first one from, you can measure the first one in, and then the rest you can put anywhere, and then you can go and use this other thing called dim space, which is about there, and it could redimension them for you from the first one to be all 15 away, or to be all 13 millimeters away, whatever you choose, as long as you make them the same. All right, so that's that there. What else have we got? That one there. Figure is normally placed above the line. Yes, above like that, or to the left. All right, so that's how we read that. And that will be under the text, and that you have to go yes above. That's correct, and centered. And that's all you have to do there. Align with dimension line, yes, except for when you may be doing like this one here, like the radius or something. That book will run you through how to create subdimensions, or what they call children. So when it sees a dimension that's got to do with perhaps doing a radius or a diameter, it will automatically perhaps put it horizontal for you. So you just change that one setting only. But that's coming up. I won't confuse you with that. All right, so the next thing is dimension line is drawn parallel to the direction of the measurement and placed outside the view. Yes. So like if I wanted to dimension that, for example, I have to make it so it's parallel to that, so it comes across here and up there, if you can imagine. But I don't have to in this instance, it's because it's just giving the X direction and if you made the Y direction, I suppose. So that's fine. We only dimension things once. Like we wouldn't be dimensioning, well, see, they haven't dimensioned this one here, because you can make out what this one is by adding up this one here and, well, you got it over here actually. So you can work that out, in other words. Okay, so what else have we got? Arrowheads should touch projection lines. Okay, that's if they're outside, yes. So if the arrows are too small, too big to put inside the dimension, you put it on the outside. Again, there's an option here in AutoCAD. And all right. If there isn't enough room to place both text and arrowheads inside inside extension lines, the first thing to move outside the extension line is either text or arrows. It says here, text or arrows. So you can just force it for arrows, for example. All right, so that's what you can do there. All right, so next thing. Okay, that's done. Not much on that one. Let's have a look. All right, so a few little things here of how to symbols. Or what do you put? Like if it's a radius, you put R in front of it, like here. But the AutoCAD will take care of that if you're dimensioning using the radius dimension. It'll put the R in front of it, and the same with the diameter. We don't have a square symbol, unfortunately, so you're going to have to make that up with a rectangle command, but that's the size of it. AutoCAD doesn't have that, and it doesn't have a lot of these other symbols that they show here, which you have to make up manually, so they don't exist in that dimension style. What else have we got? There's something else we've got. I keep going through. Okay, so this is interesting to look at anyway, but you might, you probably gain something by looking at it. It's just examples of how you can dimension different things and different, like what, for example, here, different holes and what they mean. And when you're reading it, what it actually means, it's a countersinking, it's a square one, and so on, and how you would actually denote that on a drawing when you're dimensioning it. So this, although it looks a bit coded, I suppose, which it is, it tells a big story about how they're going to drill this hole. So it's getting into mechanical stuff a bit too much, more than what we need here. But for down the track, it's probably a good reference as well. All right, I think that's about all with this one here. There was one other little thing which I can't quite remember what it is. Oh yeah. Dimensioning is somewhere in here. It talks about copied data, or I've forgotten the terminology. But basically, if you were to put in here a dimension here when it's not really required, you have to put it in brackets. In other words, this dimension is not. It's just an extra one just for checking, and it's not really meant to be there for you to actually build the thing from. It's just more for checking. So, but we don't really see any of that usually. So, anyway, I'll leave that there.